You wanted fireworks before the All-Star break? This series might just deliver them. Today, on a crossover episode between Locked On A's and Locked On Blue Jays.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On A's, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Booney, one name, all passion. On today's special crossover episode of Locked On A's and Locked On Blue Jays, we're bringing the heat from both coasts as the Toronto Blue Jays make their first ever trip to Sacramento and take on the A's in a high-stakes 3-game set. I am joined by Locked On Blue Jays host, Brendan Wasco, and to break down the matchups, momentum, and madness surrounding two franchises heading in very different directions, but both with something to prove. One team's leading the AL East and dreaming of October. The other, young, unpredictable, and ready to spoil someone's playoff push under the blazing West Coast sun. Predictions? A bit later. The Blue Jays are playing the best baseball in the entire league, coming off a 10-game winning streak that just got snapped. The Blue Jays' success comes to some in baseball as a surprise, but should it? The Jays have the 5th highest payroll in baseball, and I'm going to ask Brendan about their roster, payroll, and if this team is starting to live up to its hype. First, when you think AL East, you always think Yankees. Not now, not today. It's the Blue Jays, the first place Blue Jays. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. So do us a favor and hit that subscribe button wherever you are following the show. Let's get into it. But first, today's episode is brought to you in part by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Brendan, what's happening, man?
Yeah, not much. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Exciting times in Toronto. You just had your 10-game win streak snapped yesterday, correct? By the time we're recording this on Thursday afternoon.
Yeah, you know what? It was too bad. Obviously, you're always upset when your team loses. But at the end of the day, I think what has happened to not only the Blue Jays fan base, but the team itself, I think there's a lot of good to take away from this, especially coming from a place where the Toronto Blue Jays were at a year ago.
Right.
So, yeah, you know what? Like it was a tough loss. It was a 2-1 loss to the White Sox, which, I mean, that sucks. But there were times where this team could have taken advantage in that game to keep this streak alive. But baseball's baseball.
Brendan, 25-27 at the end of May. Fast forward to July, and it's leading the division. Just getting a 10-game winning streak snap last night. 27-9 over the last 36 games. I'll be honest, it hit me by surprise. I mean, I saw it, obviously, but then you look at it, you're like, wow, 27-9 over the last 36 games. Because for the first month or two of the season, all I'm thinking of is like what a bust Anthony Santander is.
Yeah, isn't that true? It's tough because during this offseason, me and Carter, my co-host on Locked On Blue Jays, talked about the fact that this team needed to add. They had to add to be successful. But it turns out a lot of the success is coming from guys they had in-house, right? You got your Alejandro Kirk, who is a reserve for the All-Star game, who's been outstanding, not only defensively, which he always is, but on the offensive side of the ball. You know, his clutch hitting ability has been fantastic. Addison Barger, a guy that didn't even start the season with the team, you know, that me and Carter both sort of said, this guy just might never get there. He's got all the tools, but just might never put it together. And sure enough, he puts it together. The return of George Springer. I mean, we can go down the list. I don't think it's something anybody could have.
Ernie Clement.
Ernie Clement is an absolute monster. This guy crushes lefties. At one point, he had the second best OPS against lefties.
Yeah.
And he's just a dog. He's a big utility guy. Can play him anywhere in the infield, and is a hard guy to strike out. He makes a lot of contact. And the only problem is with Ernie, he's a little bit more up and down than one of your superstars, but for a depth piece that can play anywhere, that can crush lefties, I mean, that's exactly sort of what the Blue Jays needed out of him. And yeah, he really delivered.
Yeah, no, he's always so darn dependable. What's the key to this team getting to the next stage? A couple questions on that. Is this a surprise for you, or did you see it coming and it's just like, hey, about damn time? Or is it like one of those things, hey, we can bang, but we just don't have the staff? Or is the staff starting to come around?
It's sort of weird. If you would have asked me in the offseason, I would have told you that I am not worried about this pitching staff whatsoever.
Yeah.
The offense, do we have enough bats? Is the offense going to be able to keep up? Because last season, and really even the year before, it was the fact that the bats just weren't awake. The pitching staff was fantastic. The bullpen last year was really bad. But the pitching staff last year was fantastic. And now it's done a complete 180, and I'm not worried about the offense. I can think they can come back in any game they have a chance to. Is the pitching staff going to hold up? The bullpen this year has been unbelievable as well.
Sure.
Probably don't get as much credit as they deserve. But they have 7 guys that they could debatably rely on, and a couple of guys down with injury in the pen right now that they would rely on as well. So the pitching, I guess overall it is surprising, because I think in the back of my head, I thought, well, if you have a healthy Anthony Santander that's going to do well, you have Dalton Varsho that should hit more home runs. You should have a bounce back year from Bo Bichette. Hopefully Vladdy can continue to be Vlad this season. So in my head, I thought it was a possibility, but I never thought first place in the AL East was ever even in question. So yeah, it's a big shock.
Tell me a little bit about the fan base. Tell me about baseball in Canada. What is it like out there? What is the fandom like? What's the passion like? Is baseball something secondary to hockey, or again, and that's the stereotype, right? Tell us a little bit about who don't know much about it. Obviously, we know the Blue Jays, we know their history, but in depth, not a lot of people do know.
Yeah, you know what? They have a huge fan base. I mean, I think the Canada Day game against the Yankees shows exactly how much this country does love baseball, but it's always going to come second to hockey down here.
Okay.
I mean, even myself, I mean, I was a hockey guy growing up. I was baseball and hockey guy growing up. But if you're having a conversation with anybody, there's only a few people that I could realistically go and have baseball conversations with. And thank God I had my grandpa at the time. He was a huge Blue Jays fan. He's the one that sort of got me into everything in baseball growing up as a kid. So
pretty cool.
So yeah, he was always a great guy to talk ball with. But there wasn't a too much. Then I started to get into high school, or I guess it was like middle school, high school, around the 2015-16. And then you saw just everything explode. The entire fan base went nuts. The whole country was going absolutely ballistic. That's all anybody could talk about. And then a couple dips. Then when Vladdy and Bo and Kevin Biggio at the time was coming into the league, it was, again, you saw the rise in people loving and enjoying baseball again, because they saw maybe another opportunity where a 2015-16 seasons could come around. And then it never really panned out.
Yeah,
and I think
even
on our channel, we saw we didn't get as many new fans after the first year. And we were thinking, oh, that's sort of, it's understandable because the team didn't do so well. And just hearing from people weren't that as engaged. But now, I mean, whenever this team's doing well, it's like the whole country returns and remembers how much they love baseball, and the atmosphere in the building. I mean, it's unbelievable. You go to a bar downtown. I mean, again, I live in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I don't even live right in Toronto. And you go to a bar, downtown or somewhere to eat. People are talking baseball just sitting across from you. That's how much it is loved, because there's no hockey right now, right? So baseball is the thing. It's soon as the hockey ends, everybody around the 80 game mark is like back in. So it's sort of strange, but it definitely is a secondary.
To me, the Blue Jays have always been, and at a surprise, and to the credit of the organization and ownership, always been at the top of payroll. That's no different this year. 5th in payroll. And obviously the big guy we hear of in the offseason with Santander. Did the Blue Jays get the right guys? We have another guy starting for the Blue Jays. Interesting matchup on Friday night. Scherzer and Severino talk about free agents. And I want to get your take on expectations from the fans as far as signing free agents, your personal outlook with regard to free agents, because right now the A's top 2 free agents they signed and they had to, I wish we never did. And I think we would have a lot better team with a $40 million payroll than the payroll we currently have. And we'll get into that next. If you are like most of us out there grinding every day, whether it's plumbing, HVAC, or electrical, when you need gear, you need it fast and you need it right. That's where Supply House comes in. Think of it as the Sutter Health Park of supply sites, built for pros, loaded with options, and always ready to deliver when the pressure's on. Their website is a breeze to navigate, way easier than facing Chris Bassitt on a 2-strike count. You will find over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, all shipped fast from warehouses across the country. Whether you are knocking out a quick fix before first pitch or stocking up before the weekend, Supply House has your back. And when you have got questions, you talk to a real person. No bots, no runarounds, just expert service from people who know what it's like to work with your hands. If you are in the trades and want to level up, check out their Trade Master program. You will get free shipping, special discounts, and even a dedicated phone line. Thousands of pros already trust Supply House every day, just like the Blue Jays trust Bichette to rake with runners in scoring position. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Brendan, as an A's fan, I could always care less about what our payroll was. I cared if we won, right? And since 2000, for the history of the A's, I mean, it might come to a surprise to you, like most people when I tell this to, we're 7th in all of baseball as far as postseason appearances since 2000 with 11. Haven't had much postseason success, but it's hard to win in the postseason. A lot of luck needs to happen to win in the postseason in short series, but it makes that 162 so much more important. Fans have demanded that we spend. Well, there's a second part to that question. Who do you spend on and who do you want to replace? Spending just to spend is something that I just don't understand. The A's had to spend in order to participate in the revenue sharing. And our big 2 offseason signings were Luis Severino, 3 years, $66 million. Sure, we overpaid, but market value on Severino was probably more like $50 million. You know, it wasn't like he's getting his money. And he's been a bust. The other one's Jose Leclerc, which we did a 1-year deal for $10 million. I wish we never spent a nickel on those guys. Blue Jays, big offseason signing as well. Anthony Santander, same type of deal. And again, 5th in payroll. What's the fan base is expectations on spending? What's your personal outlook on it? And does it make sense?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, so for me, I think it's about building the right team, not spending the most money. But in saying that, there are teams that spend money successfully and, you know, have high payrolls and do it well and bring in the right pieces. And when I look at what the Blue Jays have done this past offseason, obviously the two big ones are Max Scherzer and Anthony Santander. Anthony Santander was an absolute
beast.
Yeah, and it was a need for the Blue Jays. They were looking for a guy that crushes home runs. So I really have no problem with that signing. Things didn't work out. He's been injured. He's been struggling to get back, you know, through the injury, and it hasn't been going well. And there was no knowing that beforehand. The Blue Jays didn't know that beforehand. Anthony Santander didn't know that beforehand, that he was going to miss. So I can't really put any of that on the organization. I think that was the right move. He was the guy that I was calling for before 2024 season even ended. I said, Anthony Santander is the guy that I think they're signing. Sure enough, that's who they went with. And I think it was the right move. It's just, it doesn't pan out sometimes. Sure. Max Scherzer, on the other hand, not so much. I think it is a great way to sell a couple extra jerseys and maybe get some butts in seats.
Sure.
And when he is playing, he is pretty good, but he missed half the season on a $15.5 million contract. And that's not okay. And this is something they knew he was dealing with going into this season. So Yeah, not great there, but I defended it because, again, I said that this is a team that is, after a pretty brutal 2024 and missing out on free agents like Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani. I mean, you can go down the list. The Blue Jays missed out on like 6 or 7 big name guys that just didn't want to come to Toronto. They wanted to get a big name. And Max Scherzer, for all intents and purposes, is a big name. And that will put butts in seats. I mean, it got the fan base talking.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
so I think for what they were trying to do with that signing, they did the job. It's just as a fan, looking at it from a strictly baseball perspective, probably not the best move.
I got you. No, I got you. I mean, the payroll still, guys are starting to play. George Springer has been absolutely on fire. I mean, he's getting paid a few bucks. Bichette is unbelievable. Vlad Guerrero, I don't really consider him that. Vlad Guerrero, I would put on the list as far as organizational, just lifetime type of players like an Aaron Judge, a Juan Soto, a Vlad Guerrero is on that list. I mean, a small handful of guys where it's like, okay, he gets the extension, etc. But again, do you think that payroll the players are starting to play to it? Springer's getting paid a few bucks. He's starting to play to it. Barrios is getting paid a lot as well. And he's starting to pitch as well. It seems like everything's starting to align for the Jays. Do they have the longevity to get it done and get through the East?
That's tough. It is all coming together. I mean, over the past few seasons, my biggest thing was this is a team that just can't find it at the same time. Either the pitching's good or the hitting's good, or Vladdy's really good, but Bo isn't, or Bo's really good, but Vladdy isn't. It's just been a mismatch of things that can't come together. And finally, you're right. We're starting to see that, right? Vladdy's been a little bit, I think, not what we expected this season, but
he's been okay. If you look at his number, he's good, but he's not Vlad good.
That's exactly it. And Jose Barrios, yeah, you know what? He is a guy that is a workhorse. Him and Chris Bassitt and Kevin Gausman.
I love Chris Bassitt.
Yeah. They're absolute dogs. And they will, I think the good thing with them, and what I've noticed over the past few seasons, is if they go through a spell of them not having their best stuff, you don't see them crumble and fall apart. Instead, they might have 2 bad starts, but then it's like they're really, really focusing and knowing what they're doing wrong and able to bounce back so quickly.
Right.
They're not going to go through a 5-game span of them being bad. It might be 2, but they'll figure it back out for another 4 or 5, maybe go through another spell, but they're really good veteran pitchers at this point, knowing how to fix their own game. And so, yeah, it has been fantastic, and it's a long time coming for this team putting it together.
With the trade deadline coming here in a couple weeks, are there any rumors on the Blue Jays looking to improve anywhere, looking to move somebody? Hey, we got Severino on the market. You get us a box of rocks. He's yours. So we'll give you package him with Leclerc too, if you like. But is there anybody that you guys are targeting?
Well, the big thing, it has to be starting pitching. And from what we've heard,
we got one, yeah.
Exactly. Up to this point, I think the Blue Jays aren't looking for a guy that's going to come in and be a 2 or 3. I'm thinking if they're going to make a move here, it is going to be an absolute blockbuster.
They don't have a true ace, right? They don't have a true. They have a bunch. What looks like for me from the outside looking in, they have a bunch of 3s.
Yeah. And I think you could say that. I think Kevin Gausman maybe slots into that more so of a 2 role, but
when he's good, for sure.
Yeah, but I agree. I think it's more of a by committee approach instead of hey, we need one guy that's going to go out there and get us a win every 5 games. They don't really have that.
No.
So that's for sure. It's going to be a piece, and I think they're going to go balls to the wall here to make a big deal happen for there, because I think they're okay with where this offense is at. I think, again, you have Dalton Varsho coming back from injury, who's a home run machine, at least when he was playing this year so far. Anthony Santander, if he makes his return, I think they're letting him just figure it out, get really healthy, so that when he does come back, he is the Anthony Santander that they were sort of hoping for. And if that can be before the playoffs and you sort of get him rolling before that, maybe he slots in nicely. But even without that, you have Bo, Vlad, Kirk, Springer, Barger, Davis Schneider off the bench. I mean, he is I think a piece that everybody's forgotten about because of last season, but this is a guy with a lot of talent and a lot of home run power. Yeah. That off the bench is like a perfect bench.
Is it Varsho, right?
What's that?
Varsho?
David Schneider.
David Schneider. Okay, got it. Schneider.
Yeah,
Yeah. Varshaw's the Varshaw platinum glove type guy.
Varshaw's so good. He's sort of a guy that I've talked about that, again, has all the skills, just hasn't put it all together.
Sure.
And he's always been a fantastic defender. There is no question there. He probably should have multiple platinum gloves by this point. It's crazy.
Yeah,
but,
right. Yeah, it is.
But then in the other respect, he's a guy's bat that that's why you saw the upside of what his bat could be, and they just never got it. And this season, finally, when he returned, he had the pop and he had the contact. And you're thinking, oh my God, this team might have it all this year. And then he gets injured again. So when he comes back, I'm hoping to jump right back into it.
Brendan, what I want to ask you after this break here is obviously the A's franchise. The A's right now, all of a sudden, seem to be looked at as that team that everybody hates. With the mess it's going through as far as going to Vegas, staying in Sacramento. We're overall here on the West Coast. I want to get the idea of what the rest of the country, what the other side of the country looks as the A's as we are living here in our little bubble in Sacramento. And also want to get some predictions in the series from you here in a couple minutes. Have you ever had that sudden craving for live baseball? Maybe it's Friday night in Sacramento, the Jays are in town, and you decide, I need to be at that game. That's where Game Time steps in. Whether it's a last-second decision with friends, a spontaneous family night out, or just want to see Vlad Jr. and George Springer under the West Coast lights. Game Time makes sure you don't miss a pitch. With the cash you save using Game Time, you can load up on garlic fries, grab that throwback jersey, or invite a few more buddies to roll with you. It's easy, fast, and perfect for games like this weekend showdown between the Blue Jays and the A's in Sacramento. Game Time takes the stress out of last-minute ticket buying. The closer you get to first pitch, the better the deals get. Seriously, you will see clear seat views before you buy, and with their lowest price guarantee, you know you are getting a deal. Whether you are looking to jump into Friday night's Blue Jays A's opener or snag killer seats for the all-star break action coming up, Game Time's got you covered. It's the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB. And now it's your secret weapon for spontaneous baseball bliss. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On MLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Brendan, A's visited the Blue Jays late May. They were swept in 4 games. In what was actually a pretty entertaining and pretty competitive series, with the exception of the first game. What's the thought with regard to the A's and everything they're going through as far as their move, the national media, and what, we talked about it a little bit before recording, as far as, the narrative we hear as far as a baseball team being stolen and taken to the desert of Vegas.
Yeah, you know what? I'm a big A's guy. They were, when I used to tell people as a kid or growing up, who are the teams that I paid some attention to, and the A's were one of them, because that's where my favorite player of all time comes from, and that's Josh Donaldson.
Yeah. Jesus, we blew that one, didn't we? Sure,
so I got a little bit
on that one. Thanks.
Exactly.
Thanks for opening up that wound.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, pal.
That
wow.
What? And that was the A's jersey that I bought because I love Josh Donaldson. I've got every single one of his jerseys for every team he's played for.
You guys got the other third baseman I love too, Chapman.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. So no, I have a lot of love for the A's and just the franchise and the history of it and everything like that. And I think a lot of people here in Canada have the same feeling that this was a team that we love. I mean, you can ask people on the street, and you'll ask people, hey, what do you think of their jerseys? And people say they might be the best jerseys in the league.
Yeah, right. It is. Yeah,
even some non-baseball fans, they still love the A's. You see,
those totally. Yeah.
Hats out. But you know what? The whole situation in general, I'm not dialed right in with it or anything like that. But you know what? I think it, as much as I hate to see it for the city, and I hate to see that the fan base is losing their team. I think for an organizational standpoint, Vegas will put some, if they go to Vegas, they're going to be putting money into this team. So,
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a, double-sided coin here or whatever, because in one sense it's terrible. In the other sense, for the organization itself, I think it's probably a good thing. So it
you're
pains
right.
me, but yeah.
I think you summed it up perfectly there, right? I hear you. No, I understand what you're saying. Let's get to the series. Friday, Scherzer, Severino. Scherzer's only had about, I believe, so far since he's been back, 3-4 starts. He's looked okay-ish.
Yeah, it's about what we expected when he was making his return. I don't think we were saying that he'd go 6 or 7 innings ever. He was probably going to give you 4 or 5 innings with 2-run baseball, and you're just gonna have to be okay with that. And with the way this offense is playing, I think you're pretty happy with that. But in saying that, as bad as Severino's been at home, in classic Blue Jays fashion, this is going to be the game that he goes absolutely ballistic and absolutely torches the Jays. So that's just my head here. But when I was doing my predictions and stuff, because of course me and Carter, we sit on the couch together and we do this every single time. So
okay,
I had a 2-1 series win for the Blue Jays, but I have a bad feeling about that first game. I think Severino's going to defy all the odds here and all the predictions, and he's going to cook us.
I had a 2-1 series win as well. I have the Blue Jays winning game 1, 13-8. Okay. I think it's going to be a lot of runs. It's hot right now in Sacramento. I was at the game last night. The ball is traveling. The big reason the ball is traveling is there's no upper decks, right? So there's nothing blocked, and that thing just goes boom, straight out. So I think Scherzer's going to get hit a little bit. I know Severino will get hit. He'll tell you he's going to get hit. So I got the Blue Jays winning game 1. Game 2 is a little bit more interesting. You got Gausman, and Gausman to me is just filthy against Jacob Lopez, who arguably right now, if I had to pick one pitcher who is our best pitcher, it's Jacob Lopez, which is a surprise. He's been when he's right, if he's not walking anybody, has his command, he has been unhittable. I don't know. I don't know. But at the same time, if Gausman's good, I can't imagine the A's getting to Gausman either.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I know what you mean, and it really all depends on, I think, if Gausman shows up with his A stuff or his C stuff, because it's never the B. He's never giving you a B performance. It's either he's coming out and being a gem, or it's not going too well. So yeah, I could definitely see that too.
Tell us a little bit about Berrios.
Oh, this guy has been an absolute workhorse. He doesn't miss starts. He is pretty much the exact same guy every time. Besides, really, the game 1 of the season where he had an absolute collapse on the mound. You don't see that from him. It's never like he's the best pitcher in the MLB, but it's never like, oh my God, get this guy off the mound. He's always going to give you a solid performance, and that's why he's the guy that this team turns to for a game 1 of a playoff series or a game 1 of the season, because most of the time you do know what you're going to get. He's the most stable guy in this rotation. So I think he always gives this team a solid chance to win.
Gotcha. I'm going to change a little bit I'm staying with 2-1 on the series. Here's an interesting stat about the A's. On game 1 of the series, we are 14-16. I mean, we look amazing in game 1 of series for the most part. In Toronto, not so much. But for the most part, we look good. 14 wins against 16 losses. In game 3 of the series, or the final game of the series, or game 2, we're 10-19. Big fall off. I got the A's winning game 1. I think Severino will go 4 innings, 6 runs. It'll be enough. Scherzer's going to get hit a little bit too. We're going to look amazing. And then games 2 and 3, we're going to get dominated. That's how I think. I think game 1's going to be a hell of a ball game. And I think games 2 and 3, Toronto's going to run away with.
Yeah, that's exactly. Me and Carter sort of had that same thought where it's that game 1. It's going to, and especially with this Blue Jays team, how they bounce back from their first loss in a while as well, with coming off an off day. Do they bring their best stuff? So yeah, it'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Brandon, thank you so much, man. It's going to be a fun series. We'll see what happens. And thank you for making Locked On A's and Locked On Blue Jays your first listen of the day, especially on a week like this with the Blue Jays rolling into Sacramento and the summer heat, turning every game into must-watch baseball. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. It's your nightly go-to for coast-to-coast coverage. From Sutter Health Park to the Rogers Center, every game, every night, all season long. Get local insight with a national pulse. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. It's the perfect way to stay plugged in after the A's or Blue Jays wrap up each night. Thanks, bud.
Thanks.